Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back, Championship Leadership Podcast, and we got Michelle Seiler Tucker. I hope I said that all right, because normally I would ask that before we started, and I realized I hadn't. So please correct me.
Michelle Seiler Tucker.
Seiler Tucker. Thank you, and I apologize for that.
That's okay. Everybody messes it up. I'm used to it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So you're from New Orleans? Is that how we say it?
Yeah, very good. I'm not from New Orleans. I live here, but I'm actually from Long Beach, California.
Oh, okay. All right. How long have you been in New Orleans?
Oh gosh, probably 18, 19 years.
Yeah.
So I'm like a native now.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Michelle's got a book coming out here very soon, very, very soon. And especially today's the 17th or 18th or something like that of June, but the book's coming out on the 22nd. We're going to get this episode out. So when you listen to this, it'll either be a day or two before or right on the date of the launch of the book, Exitrich. So you got to be excited about that, I imagine.
I am excited. I'm excited for the launch. I'm excited that it's happening on Tuesday. I'm also excited it's almost over.
Right.
I tell you, it's harder to sell books than it is to sell a multi-million-dollar company.
Yeah, isn't it? Yeah, true that, for sure. Well, before we get too much into that, I do have a question I'd like to ask everybody that comes on. So the name of the podcast is Championship Leadership. What comes to mind for you, or what does championship leadership mean to you when you hear that?
I think championship leadership really means, finding your purpose, finding your mission, finding out what your why is, what's important to you. Life is short. You gotta have a big why. You gotta have a big cause. You gotta have a big purpose. We're all here for a reason. And, mine is entrepreneurship. I love entrepreneurship. I'm like a kid in a candy store. I can't wait to find out how an entrepreneur started a business. We're working with a client right now who has an 8th grade education, and he started selling products out of his pickup truck. And now that was, 20, 30, 40 years ago. Now his business is worth about $70 million. And that's what we're going to be selling it for. So that's, my passion mission is just to help small business owners save their business, sell their business so they can exit rich.
Yeah. Well, this reminds me of a conversation I just had today, which is probably on the other side of that. I had a friend who did not exit rich. He helped start this company, a meal prep company from the ground up, and he did the majority of the work. His other partner was struggling with some personal issues for a very long time, and they built it up, and it just sold like within the last year or so for $272 million. And he got out because things were so bad like a few years ago. So he just missed it, right? And he got like, pennies compared to what it sold for. And so I imagine, you help people with that to come out on the other side of it, right?
I absolutely, I'm a mergers and acquisitions master intermediary, and what that really means is that you can't take a test, you can't, go to school to get that title. But that's what we do. We specialize in selling companies, buying, selling, fixing, growing. I personally have sold over 500. My team altogether, we've sold a little over 1,000. But Steve Forbes says 80% of businesses will never sell, 80%. So what that means is, oh my gosh, if you're thinking about selling, you have a less than 20% chance of actually being successful at selling.
Yeah, right.
Plus, so many businesses are going out of business. So we really help business owners like your friend. I mean, if we were bought into the loop before that, then we would have made sure that he had the proper paperwork, the proper agreements to make sure that he got his fair share.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And that's sad. That's a sad story.
It is sad. It's, I think he's dealt with it very well and he's doing fine, but it is at the same time, it's very hard to hear that has happened. And you're the one, and he really is one of the main reasons that it sold for $272.
Was he a partner?
He was a partner. It was two of them. Yeah.
So were they 50-50?
They were. And then I believe what happened is someone came in, they got some financing, some funding. He decided to exit at the time, was hoping to keep, at least 3 to 5% of the company, even past that. And I don't know exactly what happened. That didn't happen. And then they went, and once they got that funding a few years later, ultimately sold for $272 million. So.
Okay. Well, my advice to him is you've done it before, you can do it again.
That was my first thought this morning. When I didn't say that, but I was like, man, you did it. Like you
You
could go
did
do it
it.
again. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's like, I've had good investments. I've had bad investments and I've lost money on investments. And I don't really get upset about it because I'm like, well, number one, I know how to make the money. I made it before, I'll make it again.
yeah,
Move on. We got to learn from our mistakes, learn from failures, and
right.
continue on.
Yeah, and he's definitely
So
doing
he's done it before, he could do it again.
absolutely. Well, why don't you tell us a little bit more about you and your background and how you've come to this point today, where you're getting ready to launch a book, Exit Rich, and how you even got into this arena.
Yeah. So a little bit about me. Like I said, I'm a mergers and acquisitions master intermediary, senior business analyst, and a bunch of other titles. I personally have sold over 500 companies. My team has sold over 1,000. We close about 98% of all offers we write. On average, we get our clients 20 to 40% more than what their business appraises for. And we don't just sell businesses. We actually specialize in buying them and flipping them. I partner with business owners, investing my capital, core competency, my expertise, and I help fix the businesses, grow them, and put them on a build to sell model. So we really specialize in buying, selling, fixing, growing. As Steve Forbes says, 80% will never sell. So I learned a long time ago, if I don't fix these businesses, I'm going to starve to death.
Right.
So I started fixing them. And we really help our clients, figure out what do they want to do with their business. I mean, the number one reason that businesses don't sell is because business owners don't have a plan. They don't have an exit plan. They never really think about selling their business until they typically have to due to internal or external catastrophic event. Internal could be health issues, partner disputes, divorce, death. External is this pandemic we're in.
Yeah.
And that's the worst time to sell your business. You don't want to sell your business when you're in the middle of a catastrophe. You want to sell your business when it's in its prime and it's really doing well. So we walk our clients through what we call the GPS exit model. And it's really like Stephen Covey says, start with the end in mind.
Yeah.
And so we walk them through a GPS blueprint and we help them figure out, their destination. Because I mean, it's just like when you want to drive somewhere in Minnesota, what do? You pull out your phone, you go to Google Maps, and what do you plug in? Your destination, right?
Right.
If you don't plug in your destination, what happens?
Yeah, you're not going anywhere.
You're not going anywhere. That's what happened with business owners. Yeah. They don't plan to fail. They fail to plan, so they're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
And so we help them figure out their destination, their desired end game, their desired sales price. And we really walk them through this because they get hung up on even picking a number. I'm like, determine what you want to sell your business for. You want to sell for 280 million? Great. There's a number. You want to sell it for 10 million? Pick a number. You can always adjust yourselves along the way. And so we help them really plan that out and determine what they want to sell their business for. And then the GPS exit model needs to know where you're starting from. What's your current location? In other words, what's your current evaluation? Most business owners have never had their business evaluated. They have no idea what their business is worth. And you need to get an annual business evaluation checkup because there are events to increase valuation, there are events to decrease valuation. And just like you talked about with that one company, they got funding and they were probably able to do things that increase their valuation dramatically.
Right.
So let's say you want to sell your business for 10 million and your business is currently worth 2 million. The next thing you want to know is, what is my time frame? Let's say you want to do it in 10 years. Then you need to know, well, who's my buyers going to be? That company that your friend sold, I mean, was that one buyer or did they have multiple buyers?
Yeah. I don't know that personal situation. Yeah.
And then so you got to figure out, well, who's my buyer? My buyer's going to be, and there's 5 different types of buyers. So we just really help business owners walk through that GPS exit model. And then we help them build the solid infrastructure in their business, building on what we call the 6 Ps, which is people. You have to have the right people in your organization. Too many entrepreneurs have created a job in which they go to work at every day versus a business that works for them. So people is number one. And then you got to have the right people in the right seats. And you really, Nate, got to ask the who question. Who opens the door? Who handles customer service, marketing, legal, manufacturing, logistics, quality control? The clue is that you should never be next to the who.
Yeah.
Because you want to run a business without you. The number one reason that businesses are not sellable is because the business is 1,000% dependent upon the owner. The owner has created a glorified job that they go to work at every day versus a business that works for them. I mean, we just had a dentist that came to us and wants to sell their company. One dentist, 3 dental hygienists. The 3 dental hygienists are his daughters.
Oh, geez.
And I said, look, I can sell your company, but I'm not going to be able to maximize value. And the purchase price is going to be contingent upon you and your daughter staying. He goes, well, honey, we're not staying. I said, well, then, honey, you're not selling.
Right.
So you got to build a business that runs without you. I mean, just like you told me, you're going on this marathon, 48 hours, you're going to run solid for 48 hours. Do you have somebody that's going to run your business when you're there, when you're running?
Right. Yeah.
And if you don't, you need to, because you don't build a business, you build people, and people build the business with you and for you.
Yeah. And for many, well, I don't know. I mean, a lot of entrepreneurs and business owners, they get into something, they start a business because they have this dream to do that, or they want to get out from the 9 to 5, or they love what they do. And again, they just kind of start, and they don't have that plan. They don't think about a lot of those things. Like you said, there's a lot of people that their businesses may generate a lot of revenue, but they're not really worth anything without them, right?
Absolutely. And the businesses might generate a lot of revenue, but businesses, so we talk about the 6 P's. The last P is profit.
Yeah.
And I always say that lack of profits are never the problem. They're always the symptom of not running on one of the other 4 P's. So yes, a business owner might have revenue for a while, but how sustainable is that? Yeah. What happens if that business owner gets hurt? What happens if that business owner gets diagnosed with a debilitating disease, or they can't work any longer?
Yeah.
We had a lady that called us up from Texas, and her husband, they were young. Her husband dropped dead from a heart attack and left her with a pile of in debt. She's completely in debt now. She knows nothing about the financials. She knows nothing about the business. And so she asked me if I could sell it. And I said, okay, well, how many employees does he have? He has 0. He has just subcontractors. So he has no people in his business, and all the data was in his head. So when he died, the business died.
Yeah. Right.
So we're really teaching business owners how to build a sustainable business that can run without you, a business that you can scale. And when you're ready to sell, you'll actually have a sellable asset. That's what exitrich is all about.
So how do you find yourself? I don't imagine this is something that you grew up thinking this is what you're going to do for a living, but how do you find yourself doing what you do today?
Yeah, no, I didn't come out of the womb saying, boom, I'm gonna sell businesses.
Yeah.
I always knew, though, even as a young girl, that I always knew that I would be an entrepreneur, that I won't work for somebody, because number one, I don't like to be told what to do. It's my biggest pet peeve. Don't tell me what to do. And my husband, we've been together 28 years, 29 years, and he still tries to tell me what to do. And I'm like, stop telling me what to do. Yeah. That's why I don't work out with him. He used to be a bodybuilder, and he used to compete. He was like Mr. Universe and Mr. all this stuff. But he tells me what to do when I work out with him. So I always knew I was going to be an entrepreneur. I always knew I was going to be a writer, because I love to write. And I always knew I was going to do something with people, because I love people. So I've owned many different businesses along the way, in different industries. And I did go to work for corporate America for a little while and realized that the job is not right for me. Job, J-O-B, is not where I want to be. Yeah. So I left Xerox, and I ended up going in, and I was pretty high up with Xerox. I was regional vice president over 100 salespeople. So that's a pretty high up position. I was climbing that corporate ladder pretty quickly. And then, but I just learned that I didn't want to do that. I don't want to be working for corporate America. And so anyway, I ended up going into franchise sales, franchise development, franchise consulting, and sold hundreds and hundreds of franchises. But I had so many buyers asking me for existing businesses. And I kept saying, no, I don't have existing businesses. And I'm like, why am I saying no? I should be saying yes, So I started listening to the consumers and said, I just need to go into mergers and acquisitions. There's so many buyers for existing businesses that are for new franchises. And that's really what led me into M&A. Okay. And that's a little over 20 years ago.
Yeah. Well, who are some of the championship leaders, coaches, mentors that have impacted you along your path? And what is it about them? Like, what are some of the characteristics that really stand out to you about them?
I never really had a mentor or even thought about a mentor. I never really went to any events or anything like that until probably 2011, 2012. And I don't know why. It just wasn't, something I was part of. But I've had several along the way. So, some that were mentors, but I found out later that they're really not successful. They speak on stage and they, play the game, but they're not really successful. But I've had some other ones that I've met along the way that are great, like Dr. Nito Cobain. He's the president of High Point University. He came to this country speaking zero English, and from the Mideast, and he's on the board of Lazy Boy, which is a huge company.
Yeah, right.
Great Harvest Bread Company, probably about 10 to 15 other businesses he's on the board for. And he's also the president of High Point University, has his own private plane, etc. He's one of my, somebody I really look up to that I think is extremely powerful. Mm-hmm. My co-author, Sharon Lechter, she wrote Rich Dad Poor Dad with Robert Kiyosaki. She's a 5-time New York Times bestselling author, a CPA, financial literacy expert. And, she's been mentoring me a little bit during this process. And Tony Robbins I always think is great.
Right.
I love Tony Robbins. Bob Proctor, I listen to almost every single day.
Yeah, I love it. What, how did Sharon Lechter, how did that relationship, that connection happen? And tell us a little bit more about why you guys decided to come together to create this book.
So Sharon and I met, because I'm an international speaker, and so is she. But we met speaking at different events, probably, I don't know, 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago. CEO Space, Secret Knock, just a bunch of different events. And we met and we always kind of, chit-chatted, but never really had any deep conversations. And a very good friend of mine who's also a mentor to mentors, David Corbett, who lives in San Diego, he knew that I was writing Exit Rich. I'd already written Exit Rich. I'd already written a manuscript. And he says, you really should get a co-author, especially if you're trying to make, some of the big list with your book. And he says, you should get Sharon. And I said, well, I don't know. I mean, Sharon and I have never had any deep conversations. So he set up a conference call. I sent her the manuscript, very nervous, thinking she's going to hate it, because I'm always the worst critic of my own work.
Yeah, right.
And she emailed back and said, absolutely love the manuscript. It's brilliant. And so she said, I'll write the Mentors Corner after each chapter. And so the manuscript was really already written. I mean, I made some tweaks and stuff along the way. She pretty much liked everything. I think maybe she had a couple revisions, but very minor. And she read the entire manuscript. And then, so that's kind of how that happened. The reason why I decided to write Exit Rich is because I wrote Sell Your Business for More Than It's Worth in 2013. And back in 2013, I did the research and learned that 90% of all startups within that 1 to 5 years will go out of business. Well, we all know that, right?
Right.
That's nothing new. However, when I wrote Exit Rich and started doing the research for Exit Rich, I learned that the business landscape has actually flip-flopped. Now it's only 30% of startups will go out of business. Only 30%.
Wow.
Out of 27.6 million companies, those businesses that have been in business for 10 years or longer, 70% of them will go out of business. Okay. And that's really scary. And that should be a huge wake-up call, because small business is the backbone of our economy, of the U.S. economy. There's 30.2 million businesses employing over half the U.S. workforce. Yeah. If we have 70% of those businesses going out of business, then we lose jobs. And when we lose jobs, then we lose spending power. When we lose spending power, then we lose more small businesses. So that's why I wrote Exit Rich. Exit Rich is not just about selling your business. It's about actually building a valuable asset that buyers want to buy. The reason why only 80% of businesses never get sold is because buyers don't want those businesses. Business owners are not building businesses that buyers want to buy. There are more buyers for good businesses than there are good businesses to buy. When we have a good business, we have hundreds of buyers for that one particular business. So anyway, that's what I wrote Exit Rich for. Exit Rich is all about changing your mindset. It's all about planning your exit from the beginning. It's also about, determining what is your seller sanity check. when and how should you sell. And then it's all about building the solid infrastructure, identifying the 5 different types of buyers so you know which one is right to purchase your business. And so the first half of Exit Rich is all about building a sustainable, scalable business. The second half gets into the sales process.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
And what is if you had like a turning point or a kind of that fork in the road moment for you, which I know we've all had those, right? And so
I still have them.
Yeah, well, yeah, just about every day. But you could think of one that maybe comes to mind where obviously you made the decision that you had, which has you where you are today. But had you make it a different one, you could be in a very different place. I think it's, entrepreneurs, business owners, especially the pandemic, it's been some challenging times and many people are in that spot right now. So it's always powerful to hear how others have navigated those times. You got 1 or 2 moments you could share with us?
Sure. I think, one of the big pivoting moments for me is when I was a partner with a franchisor, and I was actually a partner. I was with him for a while, and then I learned that our values just didn't align. I believe in under promising and over delivering, and they believe in over promising and under delivering. And they were focused on themselves. They were focused on the money. They were focused on all of that, but they weren't focused on the service. They weren't focused on delivering. And they grew so quickly because I came in as a partner, and this isn't arrogance speaking, this is experience. I blew them up, but they never had the proper infrastructure to keep up with the business. And the owners were not coachable. They wouldn't listen to anything. And that's when I really decided to leave that business and do franchising for other companies and then start my M&A firm. So I think that was a big pivoting moment. The reason why it was so transformational, I guess, for me is because I really trusted these people. I thought they were my friends. And then when it came down to buying me out, they wanted to sue me and everything else. Yeah. And it just got very ugly, and it didn't need to get ugly. It didn't need to go down that path. And I ended up getting, bought out, but it took years and lawyers to get us there. Yeah. And that should have never happened.
Right. Yeah. I appreciate you sharing that. We start to wrap this up. Like, if there are 1 or 2 things, maybe even from the book here for these listeners that might be in that situation where they have the business but haven't figured out what the valuation is, or it's not really worth anything, or how they could position themselves to get it to a point where they'd want to sell it. But there are 1 or 2 things that you could share to the listeners that if they implemented today and took action, it would help move their life forward right now. What would that be?
Well, I always say, this is my quote. I didn't steal this from anybody. But I always say it's hard to read the label from the inside of the bottle.
Yes.
You need the outsider's perspective to read the warning signs and keep you out of the danger zone. So you don't know what you don't know, you know. So I always say, align yourself, get yourself an expert, get yourself a mergers and acquisitions expert. And because you probably don't even know what your business is worth. Mm-hmm. You probably haven't really even figured out, what your end game is, what your destination is.
Yep.
And there's so many things to be figured out as far as, what you want to sell it for. What do you want to do next? I always tell my clients, we'll never close your exit strategy. Like, we'll never close on the sell of your business unless we figure out your beginning strategy.
Yeah.
If I don't help my clients figure out what they're doing next, they'll never sell. They'll sabotage the deal every time.
Yeah.
So I would just say, align yourself with an expert, because you got to get your business evaluated. Got to figure out what it's worth. We got to figure out what you want to sell it for, what your destination is. And then we got to look at the infrastructure on the 6 Ps, because the 6 Ps are everything. If your business doesn't run on all 6 cylinders, all 6 Ps, it's not going to be very valuable. So number 1 is people. You got to make sure you have the right people in the right spot. Number 2 is product. You have to ask yourself, is your product thriving or dying? Then processes. Your processes need to be efficient, productive, designed with the customer's experience in mind. Proprietary, Nate, is the highest value driver. These are your patents, your contracts, your databases, celebrity endorsements, positions on the internet. you know. And then patrons is the fifth P, where you want to have customer diversification, not customer concentration. And the last P is profits. So my big piece of advice is get an expert, get somebody who can help you navigate this path and get you to where you want to be ultimately. And you can't do that on your own. So rather that's calling it Seiler Tucker, you know, our main website, seilertucker.com, or hiring some other experienced advisor. That would be your very first step. Because I mean, I could tell you other things, and get Exit Rich, of course. Get the book Exit Rich, but you got to align yourself with a good advisor to help you. And I mean, we have clients that call us every day and are like, we're not quite ready to sell. We need help. So we put them on what we call a road to sell program. Okay. And that's where we identify, you know, what their end game is, what's their destination, what's their business for today. And then we help them eliminate their bottlenecks, because every business owner has bottlenecks. And usually the business owner is the bottleneck.
Right.
And then we take them through the 6 Ps and build in the proper infrastructure so we can get them the right price for their business.
Okay. Yeah, incredible. Thank you. What are the ways that we can get the book? And I think you even said around the release of this book, there's some extra bonuses involved in that as well.
There is. So, you know, Sharon and I are trying to make all the lists, all the big lists, USA Today, Wall Street Journal, New York Times. So because of that, you know, we are trying to increase sales. And so because of that, we want to reward everyone that buys the book early, pre-orders the book. So we're giving huge value. So the book comes out June 22nd, which is next Tuesday. And I know Nate's going to do his best to get this out as quick as possible. But you can go to exitrichbook.com. Okay. You can go to exitrichbook.com. You can go to Amazon and buy the book, but that's not where all the extra value is. Yeah. Exitrichbook.com for $24.79. We will email you the digital download immediately. We will ship the hardcover to your doorstep for no additional cost to anybody that lives inside the United States. And then we will give you a lifetime membership into the Exit Rich Book Club. And there I'm doing video content on different techniques and strategies that I've been teaching in the trenches for the last 20 years, plus documents. The documents are so valuable, Nate, because they're all the documents that you need to operate your business and sell your business, like sample policy and procedure manuals, employee handbooks, non-competes, to sell your business, sample letter of intents. Most business owners don't even know what a letter of intent is. Yeah. Sample letter of intents, purchase agreements, due diligence checklists, closing docs. I'm not naming all the documents that are there, but every document you need to run and sell your business is at the Exit Rich Book Club. It's there for your review and your download. These documents will cost you over $50,000 if you went to an attorney to recreate. I know, because I've spent the money to create them. Right. And then we're giving you also a 30-day free membership into Club CEOs. And that is a entrepreneurship mastermind where we ask, you know, those tough transformational questions so we can help business owners pivot so they can build that sustainable, scalable, and sellable business. So all of that value for $24.79 at Exit Rich Book Club. Yeah. Wow. Exitrichbook.com.
Exitrichbookclub.com.
No, exitrichbook.com.
Okay. Yep.
Exitrichbook.com.
We'll get it linked up too, for sure. So you can easily click on it and access it. But I wanted to thank you so much for taking time to be here. That's incredible value that they can get from that book. And so we will definitely push that out to some of my clients and some of the groups that I'm in as well. But thank you for being here today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Have a good day.
Thank you. Bye.